Welcome back to the show. And look, if you have kids, husband, wife, or whatever, I think it's very important that you inform them. Who they hang out with is a very big decision. Can you be charged if you're in a car with someone, they go in and rob a store, something bad happens, can they get charged just like the bad guy? Oh, my son is the nice guy here. He was just out in the car. Can they be charged with a crime? Also, when a detective comes around, maybe an undercover police officer comes around, shows you the badge, they start asking you questions. Just how deceptive can they be? Can they lie to you? I think these are all very important questions. There is no one we'd rather ask than Rajan Joshi, criminal defense attorney, the best criminal defense attorney I've ever met, honestly.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back. Welcome to our new set, temporary set, I should say.
I love it. I love it. It's so nice.
It was just such a nice day. We wanted to get out of the dungeon a little bit. So we'll be back in the other studio next time. But let's start with that. Let's start with I'm in the car, okay? And look, I know that my friends aren't the greatest kids, but they're my friends. I've known them since I was a kid. And we're just out hanging out, joyriding. One of them's gonna go into the 7-Eleven, armed robbery. He literally goes in there, holds up a gun, takes the money, gets back in the car, takes off. I mean, I can't be charged with a crime, can I?
Potentially you can, and this is where the law, is very encompassing. If the state can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that somebody helped another person by word or act commit a crime, then they're as guilty as the other person. So hypothetically, let's just say I'm in the car and I'm the lookout guy. I have no intention of going in, hurting anyone, and my buddy goes in to the store and he's like, I got a toy gun. I'm not gonna shoot anyone. And he goes in there and it's a real gun. He shoots the person. Right there, that's felony murder because he committed a murder in the commission of a felony of a robbery. He gets back in the car, we get arrested, I can be charged with felony murder. I am as guilty as everything my co-defendant did, if it's reasonably foreseeable, and I could be put to death in that situation.
Let's say that we're at our vacation home, our lake house, okay, and that we notice the neighbor's house, we look in there, they're never there. They're never there, this is just their little vacation home, and I look in and there's a bottle of vodka. Me and my buddy are like, let's go steal that vodka, break into the house. The door is unlocked. We don't have to break in. The door is unlocked. We go in, get the vodka. What do you know? The homeowner comes in. My buddy gets scared, shoots homeowner. I can't be charged. I was just trying to steal vodka.
At that point, you could be charged with first-degree murder in that situation as well, because what is going on is you both are committing a burglary by entering. You don't have to break in and enter. You're entering with the intent to commit a crime, and during the commission of a crime, the felony, somebody died. And because I agreed to the felony, even though I didn't know I thought I was just committing, harmless crime. I agreed to it. I participated in it. Somebody died. That's why you got to choose your friends very carefully.
That's right. You must have stories about. You must have clients that have been in this situation before, and it probably relates back to my friend in elementary school. I'm a loyal guy. These are still my friends, even though they went this way, I went this way. You must have stories about clients that have been through this.
Absolutely. And what happens is the guy who's less culpable is the one that the state is going to try and squeeze because they've got so much leverage. This person's looking at such, drastic circumstances. So the state's going to try and squeeze them to get to the other person. It's kind of the theory, we'll eat with the sinner to get the devil.
Right. And so you see that happen a lot where the state can the state kind of figure out who the bad guy is versus the good guy normally, or what?
They kind of draw conclusions in the beginning. Usually the shooter, if they can prove who the shooter is, that's usually the worst person. And it gets really complicated in these huge conspiracy cases because what happens is hypothetically, if we're in a conspiracy, let's just say I'm the kingpin. I deal drugs to you, and I deal drugs to you. You don't know each other. You deal drugs to the middleman, you deal drugs to the middleman, who deals it to the nickel and dime guy. Nickel and dime guy is as guilty as everything I've done, and for the whole amount of the drugs. So let's just say theirs would be a misdemeanor, but they can prove a vast amount of drugs were coming from the source. Then he's as guilty as I am. And what happens is the state will squeeze him to get to the middle person, then to get to you, and then of course you'll turn on me, and you will too.
Everyone turns on each other at that point.
Yeah.
And you see this a lot, that the squeeze in drug cases now, and this proliferation of fentanyl deaths has been really crazy. And then even if I'm the guy who's selling a tiny bag on the street and someone dies,
that's first-degree murder. If you sell drugs, and regardless of the conspiracy charge or anything like that, if I sell something, and I don't even think it's fentanyl's in there. I sell a small piece of Xanax, but it's pressed with fentanyl, and the person ODs. It's right there in the first-degree murder statute that if they can prove the source of the drugs that caused the death or the OD came from me, I can be guilty of first-degree murder and be put to death.
It's really risky business selling drugs. Not just that, okay, you're going to get probation for 2 years or go to jail for a year or something like that. Literally, you could be charged with murder, and you might have sold them cocaine. And let's say they did heroin later too. I mean, you could still be charged with murder in that position, couldn't you?
If they can link at that point, that's where the criminal defense attorney comes in, and that's where you look at the toxicology of the victim, and you say, oh no, it's going this way. My guy only did the cocaine, and what I would do in that situation is get an expert to say the cocaine wouldn't have caused this type of death, and all that stuff. So at that point, you really want to arm yourself with a good attorney.
And by the way, if you've been charged with a crime, someone in your family has been charged with a crime, or you have detectives, police officers snooping around, asking you questions before you say a word, here's what you need to do. Call the phone number on the screen right now. I will connect you with Rajan immediately. This is a free consultation. This is not one of those deals where you have to send your credit card in and he's going to charge you $1,000 just to come into the office. He'll talk to you on the phone right now if you want. It's 321-282-1055. And Rajan, I'm very careful to say, don't wait till you're charged with a crime to call you, because the real investigation seems to happen before the charges ever come about.
Absolutely. And, when the police are actually investigating someone, that's the time to call the lawyer, because the police will use such deceptive techniques. I mean, they can lie to a person, and they can tell you, hey, look, we're not even investigating you, and the person will have this ease and comfort and start talking. And right there, what the police are doing is they're putting the case together, and they're making that person their star witness against themselves. And if the police say, hey, look, talk to us, you're just helping us out, it's gonna help you, that's the last thing that happens in a criminal case. They are trying to build a case, and anything you say will be used against you. And the police police have so many deceptive techniques they can use, and it's legal. It's absolutely legal. And
again, pardon my ignorance, but I am a lawyer, not a criminal defense lawyer. Most of the criminal defense stuff I've learned is from Dateline or 48 Hours, and I'll be honest, that's just where I learned it. And so they'll have boyfriend, girlfriend, put them in different rooms, and then they'll come back and say to boyfriend, your girlfriend just ratted on you. She just said you shot the weapon, that you did it. But she didn't say that. How legal is that for officers to do?
Completely legal. They can come in there and they can confront you with false evidence, say, we got the evidence, we got you on videotape, and by the way, your girlfriend just ratted on you. And the person right there is thinking, oh my gosh, I gotta help myself. Let me plead my case, and maybe it might help me. Maybe the judge will take mercy on me. Maybe the prosecutor will see that I was cooperative, and they're gonna give me a better deal. That is not true. That is the worst thing a person can do, because they have that right in this country not to talk, and they should exercise that right. If even the police are coming around asking, don't talk without a lawyer.
And speaking of don't talk, let's talk about search a little bit, because again, from 48 Hours I've learned this, but a lot of times they'll come knock on your door at your house and they're like, can we come in? And it's the police officers, and they have guns, and you're like, of course you can come in, I guess. Do I have to let them in that situation? And if not, are there situations where I do?
Yes. If they come knocking on your door, usually if they don't have a warrant, they've got no right to be there and or to come in. And you have the absolute right under the Fourth Amendment to say, no, you can't. This is my house. I have an expectation of privacy. Go away. Come back with a warrant. Sometimes the police will lie and say, well, we can get a warrant and we can come in and tear your house down. You just tell us where the stuff is. We'll go in, we'll get it, and we'll save your family from a lot of headache. And a lot of times they're lying. Make them get the warrant, because as soon as you consent, as soon as you give them that permission, then you have no right to attack the search under most circumstances.
Really?
Now, if they get the warrant may be defective. The warrant may not be based on probable cause. So a good lawyer can go out there and attack the warrant at that point. But if you agree to let them search, then you've waived that right. And certain situations, the police, if they pull someone over in a car and they have probable cause to believe there's some evidence of a crime, they can search without a warrant, because a car can just be driven off. But if they ask you, hey, can we search? The safest thing to say is no. And if they can continue to search regardless, let them, and then the lawyer can attack it if it's an illegal search.
So when they pull you over, most of the time I think they say, can I search your car? But even if you say no, they have a right to do so?
They don't have the right to do so. They may do so anyways. But if you stand in the police officer's way and start pushing them, you may be charged with resisting then. So, or a battery on a law enforcement officer. So you can say, I do not give you consent. And they may still search it, and it may be a legal search if they do have probable cause. If they don't, then whatever evidence they found, no matter what it is, a good lawyer will get that evidence thrown out.
Last question, and I have so many more. I wish we had more time. I get pulled over, and again, this is from Live PD. I think I learned this one. I get pulled over. I think they're running that back. I get pulled over. They say, step out of the car. Do I have to get out of the car?
Usually at that point, yes.
Yeah, okay.
The officer is, if he pulled you over legally,
right.
I would still get out of the car and not resist the officer, but if he didn't pull you over legally and he has no reason to detain you, then from that point it could be an illegal detention.
It's one of my favorite appearances yet. And again, I feel like we could go on for another 30 minutes.
I love it over here. Yeah.
You'll come back next week and we'll finish this up. How's that? Good job today. That was amazing stuff. Call Rajan Joshi today, charged with a crime. Not yet charged with a crime. If you're getting the phone calls, getting the knocks on the door, call him right now. Do yourself a favor. Please call Rajan, 321-282-1055. When we come back, we will wrap it up with, what did we learn?